such a pleasure to be with you all today. I'm Sade Dennis, Director of Market Transformation and Development for the U.S. Green Building Council. And today, we're going to be talking about health and wellness in the built environment through LEED and green building. It's what I like to call not quite down the yellow brick road, but down the green big brick road and beyond through LEED. So green building is for everyone within a generation. And at USGBC, our vision is that buildings and communities will regenerate and sustain the health and vitality of all life within a generation. Now, our mission is to transform how buildings and communities are designed, built, and operated, enabling environmentally and socially responsible, healthy, and prosperous environment that improves the quality of life for all. And it's really important as we consider that the built environment is not only the buildings that we occupy, but also its surrounding space. Here are some of the things that we all aim to have and obtain, right? Which is to be safe, healthy, inclusive, smart, productive, efficient, equitable, sustainable, responsive, and resilient. And we can accomplish this through LEED, which stands for Leadership in Energy Environmental Design. We are beyond 30 years, and LEED has been through many different stages and is built by us for us in the market. So we're really at an exciting time. What's so interesting to know is that LEED is just not for buildings, right? We're beyond, we're more than just the shiny plaques on the walls. LEED can be applied at the building, community, and city scale. And here's that green brick road, as I like to call it. And it starts with interiors, buildings, communities, cities, and regions, working toward a regenerative and equitable future. And as you see here, it's measuring carbon neutrality from spaces to places, as we like to say. So LEED certification for new interior spaces. They can be certification for materials and spaces. And so LEED works for all project types, from office spaces to coffee shops. Now, for interior design and construction, as I mentioned, there's a LEED for every project, which includes commercial interiors, retail, and hospitality. Good buildings now, so on to the buildings. So we went from the inside of the buildings to the actual buildings themselves. And so good buildings address pollution, resource depletion, water consumption, degradation of ecosystems and habitat, indoor environmental quality, occupant health, comfort, productivity, cost of owning and operating. These are all, what we like to say, make up good buildings. Now, why do buildings matter? We spend about 90% of all of our life inside of buildings. Did you know that? And 38% of all CO2 emissions are directly attributed to buildings. There's 100 trillion, I said it, trillion dollars value in US real estate market, and this is in 2024. So buildings are a huge deal. We spend so much of our quality time, our most memorable times with family and friends and our loved ones in buildings. And so these are the three areas we're going to focus on today. We're going to move through them quickly, but it's health, circularity, and embodied carbon when it comes to buildings. Health. Don't we all want to be healthy? I think so. Indoor air quality can be, guess what, 3 to 4 times more polluted than outside air. You heard that correct. The indoor air can be more harmful than the air outside. And so what LEED does, LEED seeks to make sure that we have low emitting materials, environmental products that have the proper declarations, as well as materials and their ingredients. So we call our healthy material selection. Now, here are some of the common material ingredients that are harmful: VOCs, PFCs, formaldehyde, right? Heavy metals and biocides. It's not good. Our next aspect of the buildings, our 3 tiers here, are circularity. 600 million tons of construction and demolition waste is discarded in the US each year. That's 600 million tons. It's way too many. Now, we talked about this a little bit. Why do materials matter? Talked about buildings, but now why do materials matter? 40% of raw materials are used in buildings. There are billions of tons of municipal solid waste generated, and 90% of our time, as I mentioned before, are spent in buildings. So materials in buildings really make a difference. Oftentimes people go for like immediate savings, but we want to think about the long-term health and vitality of not only the building, but of course our occupants, right? Our loved ones. So it's very important that, and whether it is in new construction or even in operations and maintenance, that we consider materials and embodied carbon. We hear this term now often, embodied carbon. Here's the thing, embodied carbon from building materials account for at least 11% of global energy-related GHG emissions. So as you see, embodied carbon, health, and circularity all coincide with what we like to consider what you need to know about buildings and interiors. Now we're going to move on to lead for communities. As I mentioned, we do more than just certify buildings, but we also certify communities. USGBC's Lead for Communities overview. What's so interesting about this for me is that Lead for Communities serves as a catalyst toward a more sustainable, resilient, healthy, and just city and communities around the world, impacting healthy people in healthy spaces, advancing health and a just economy locally, nationally, and globally by 2030. That's our goal. And communities are places such as regions, districts, business improvement districts, known as BIDs, economic development zones, neighborhoods, campuses, universities, and even military installations, either in the planning or the designing phase of existing developments or redevelopments. Certification typically is initiated by private sector planners or developers, corporates or quasi-government authorities, universities, or non-government organizations. Now, here are 3 phases or 3 types, if you will, of lead for communities phases. So that's plan, design, and develop, which are new for new spaces, that are strategies for new and developing places, to operate and manage existing spaces and communities, which is for performance measures, plus strategies for existing places. And then, of course, for continuously improving places, that is to create performance pathways to recertification for all projects and places. So, when you think about a college campus, for instance, that occupy, part of a community, like not an entire city, but a community. And so these spaces can even exist within multiple jurisdictions or municipalities, but they represent a particular community. Now, there are 240 cities and communities that are certified and 415 registered in 20 counties. So you see, this is an entire global community of projects and registered and pre-certified projects. So as you can see through all the highlighted areas here, mostly in North America, you see throughout here, throughout Europe, et cetera, and we're, growing rapidly. We have so many inquiries of, developing communities that want to be more resilient and create pathways for economic development. And, and they know that sustainable environments attract businesses and attract economic development. Now, on to Lead for Cities. The Lead for Cities program is our leading global rating system for certification that transforms cities into more sustainable, equitable, and resilient places that enable rapid adoption of global climate action. Lead for Cities goes beyond buildings to measure and manage sustainability at the jurisdictional scale. As you see here, hundreds of local governments around the world have committed to LEED for Cities framework and certification process. As you see here, it goes for large cities and counties, mid-sized cities and counties, and smaller local governments. Here are just some of the cities that have their LEED for Cities certification. In South Carolina, the city of Charlotte, Greensboro, Orange County, city of Durham, and Winston-Salem. This is just in the Carolinas. And here's some of the things that, these cities consider improving their framework. So it goes into the integrative process, the natural systems and ecology, transportation and land use, water efficiency, energy and GHG emissions, materials and resources, quality of life, innovation, and regional priority. Very exciting. And here are some of the cities that have obtained their LEED for Cities. You see here, Tempe, Arizona, Florida, Orange County, Florida, as well as the town of Davidson, the city of Baltimore, and as well Miami-Dade County. And what's really exciting here, since we are in Maryland, Howard County was the first county in the nation to be certified LEED Platinum. So it's very exciting. Maryland really leads the way in sustainability in so many areas. We have a number of mayors and county executives who really understand sustainability and want to ensure that their residents are not only safe, but healthy as well. And here, this is the city of Baltimore, and the city of Baltimore obtained their LEED Cities Gold in 2023. And I was actually at this plaque ceremony, and it was so much fun just hearing from City Mayor Brandon Scott, and he really understands sustainability. And they got gold, and he was like, you know what, platinum is coming next. And so, they've done amazing work in Baltimore with data collection, and really monitoring everything. And they're really on the forefront and really the benchmark when it comes to LEED for Cities and sustainability. They get it. Now, for all of that, we talked about the different versions of LEED. We are in an exciting time. LEED V5 will be available this late spring, and it'll drive the built environment toward a low carbon future that is equitable and resilient, and promotes the wise, safe utilization of all resources. LEED V5 is such an exciting version of LEED, and it takes into account ecological conservation and restoration, climate action, and quality of life. And so we're really excited because at a time like, never before, considering a holistic view at LEED is where the market is going. And for more information on LEED V5, this is a QR code for folks who want to learn more. Like I said, it'll be available late spring, and it is, for the market, by the market, and we're really excited about it. And we've heard from the market, and it's been such an iterative process, a very collaborative process from users. We've had 2 rounds of public comment, and every comment is answered and is looked at. And so this is a bright time, no matter, the external circumstances. We're forging ahead, creating safe spaces, places beyond buildings, beyond interiors, to cities and communities. And so, we're here to answer any questions. We're so happy to be part of this conversation. We look forward to engaging with everyone more. Thank you.
Awesome job, Sade. You did it great, as per I knew you would. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
So a lot to talk about here. I've got a few questions. Do you have a few minutes?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, great. So yeah, big shouts out to Baltimore City for earning their LEED
Absolutely.
Gold certification back in 2023. Shouts out to Ava Richardson with the Baltimore Office of Sustainability. Shouts out to the mayor, Brandon Scott, for sure. Got to see you in the photo, Ben Evans, who lives here in
Yes.
Baltimore as well. So really excited about kind of what the USGBC is doing here in Baltimore. you mentioned circularity and just kind of construction waste.
Mhm.
As a commercial broker focusing on office primarily, and that's what we did last year for Baltimore Climate Tech 2024, was focused on the Maryland Climate Solutions Now Act and the Building Energy Performance Standards, and just kind of how building owners and corporate tenants were dealing with that. And at that time, when we did it last year, last March, not too many building owners or corporate tenants even knew that there was a building energy performance standard. So, and you presented last year as well, so thank you for that. But one of the things that I learned about office space is that every 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, whenever the lease is up, the space is demoed, all that is taken to the dump, and then rebuilt by the new tenant. This happens every 3 to 5 years, and so you can only imagine, a 3,000 square foot space every 3 to 5 years that happening. But what about like a 30,000 square foot space, or a floor plate, or a major company that has a few floors, a law firm that has a few floors in the building? Um, this is totally unsustainable,
It
to
totally is.
demo properties every 3 to 5 years, or demo these office interiors. Um, how do you see that, and what can the industry do to kind of prevent that from happening?
Absolutely. Well, along with LEED and the credits, we also have our true zero waste. And part of the whole thing is looking at deconstruction as well.
Hmm.
What materials can be reused,
Yeah.
how can they be sustainably brought down without, it's, polluting, whether it is like part of the building. Oftentimes, to your point about having maybe tenants here and down, the hallway, existing occupants, et cetera, and in particular, like multi-use properties, et cetera. And so our true zero waste it goes beyond, of course, composting, recycling, but upcycling and
Hmm.
circularity.
Hmm.
How can we keep
Hmm.
things in
Hmm.
circulation longer?
Hmm.
How can we promote the safe and resilient deconstruction, et cetera? And so that is something that the market is looking at. If you think about like green finance, looking at the entire process,
Hmm.
to ensuring that you can save money,
Hmm.
you can prevent harmful waste,
Hmm.
like particulate matter, for instance, like to your neighbors, et cetera. And so
Hmm.
we do consider that in our points as well
Hmm.
as our true
Hmm.
program
Hmm.
is a part of your certification. People are wanting to know how to do that more and more, especially
Hmm.
now as you have, like in DC, for instance, like the office to anything, and our
Hmm.
spaces are becoming more multifaceted.
Hmm.
So when you have maybe like minimal or, even a whole lot of construction, deconstruction,
Hmm.
use. So that is a part of the conversation. People are becoming more aware, and to your
Yeah.
point about things that we're learning every single day.
Right.
Absolutely. And so part of that is the storytelling, is communicating
Hmm.
the value of responsible deconstruction, et cetera,
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
projects. And we want to award points for that. And so when a person says, hey, this project or this, revamping, if you will, is
Hmm.
certified,
Hmm.
they can ensure that all those things are taken into consideration. But we'd love to talk more about that with you, Aaron, or anyone who's watching that, because that's really what it's about: responsible
Yeah,
construction.
absolutely. Being able to move into the space, knowing that in 3, 5, 7 years, you want to responsibly deconstruct it, kind of pack
Totally.
everything up, and move it to your next space and set everything back up again. That's
Exactly.
ideally how how
Ooh,
it
like
should work.
modular spaces,
It's
furniture
not
that,
it's not
will
rocket
be
science.
healthy. Oh, it's the
The
truth.
the crazy thing is like we have all the technology. We don't need more technology to do it. We just need the industry that I come from, and you're a part of, that unfortunately is the least digitized, declining in productivity, and sometimes there's a strong resistance to change, to try to realize that this is just a planet friendly way to do business.
Absolutely. And we always like to say, there's carrots and then there's sticks. And so understanding it from the public sector standpoint and really empowering and informing our, elected officials and such. And so we do a lot of advocacy at USGBC, and we're ready to provide assistance and language, research and such, because we're always listening to the market. And, there's, like I said, it's a carrot or a stick. And so BEPS. and those types of codes are really important as well. And so we're always working with our public sector stakeholders to ensure that, we're all on the same page as much as possible.
Absolutely. So Sarah Goodman is one of the technical advisors for USGBC and was involved with the writing of lead version 5, and she covered it extensively last year at Baltimore Climate Tech. So I'm
Oh,
glad that
great.
you mentioned it. It's good to know that it's kind of in its final phase, looking to come to market towards the end of the spring. And I'll be perfectly frank with you. I've been concerned with just lead being kind of a design standard, and not so much based on performance, right? You got your badge on your property, and sometimes the building performed and sometimes it didn't.
And that's
But
a shame because we also have O&M, operations and maintenance. We love O&M around here too.
absolutely,
We love a
but
shiny new building. Don't get me wrong. I love a good plaque ceremony, but honestly, looking at operations and maintenance,
yes,
our
yes,
facility, our
yes,
partners, our
yes,
stakeholders, these are the folks on the ground really sharing, not only with, janitorial staff, but facility managers,
yeah,
and even the
yeah.
occupants, employees. Here's how to do these things. And so
That's
we're huge proponents as well. So we love a shiny plaque, but we are plaques and beyond. So I just want
That's
to
what I
put that out there.
that's what I love about lead version 5, is
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's entering that performance based realm. Even for my space that I'm in, and indoor air quality,
Mhm.
one of the prerequisites, if you want to get the air quality points, is to use a reset certified monitor. And there is a crosswalk between reset, which is the real-time indoor air quality performance based standard, the first kind of on the planet, actually. So there's a crosswalk between reset and lead, to be able to facilitate those types of things. So I'm really excited about the new version. And it's kind of gotten me re-engaged and really kind
Exciting.
of evangelizing lead with the new kind of performance-based layers that they have. So
Oh,
I'm excited
absolutely.
about that for sure.
Yeah, and I just want to put it out there, we are by the market, for the market, and like I said, much can be said about construction and design, all that. But like I said, I mean, O&M, operations and maintenance, is something that we want to make sure that people understand that is also what we are about as
Right,
well, because it's
right,
all about the implementation
right.
to ensure that we're about, as much as we're about the buildings, but the people, the occupants as well, to ensure that not only a building is high performing, but that our loved ones, our most precious people.
That right there. That is the piece that often is. I'm glad you mentioned it, because I'm always advocating for that we can be net zero, we can have zero greenhouse gas emissions and energy efficient and sustainable and resilient, but if the health and the wellness of the occupants is suffering, then kind of what was the point?
Absolutely.
Right. So,
Yeah.
so I always like to come back to really, the only reason we're doing all this is to protect the occupant of the building. Right.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Good point. Good point.
Well, this was so great, and I really appreciate you, inviting us to share um,
Absolutely.
what we're excited about. And I'm so excited to hear all of your presenters.
I'm excited. Thank you for taking the time to do this. And I know you're extremely busy and have a lot of things to do. You've got new position. I see you on LinkedIn. You've got been assigned a new position here and a new position there, just
I'm
because
trying my
of your
best.
advocacy. So I appreciate your thought leadership and your subject matter expertise on this topic. So thank you. All right, Sade, have a great one. We'll
All
talk
right, you
soon.
too. Bye.
Bye bye.